Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. What's going on, guys? Back with some mid prices. As you saw the other day, Shorty took a look at the mid prices, but this video had to break it up, part 1 and part 2. So that was the defenders and the midfielders. So we're going to take a look at the rucks, which won't have too much to offer, and the forward line. But yeah, how you guys traveling out there? It's nice to get another video out there as well. Starting to build up to the season now. 22 days away now. Tell me if I'm wrong, but does this year's build up to footy season just feel a bit weird, a bit quiet, a bit slow? Like, I don't know if it's the pracky games. I think in previous years we've had like 20 days of footy, like footy on every day, practice matches, televised. And I know they're starting to get going, but it just feels a bit slow for me. I don't know. Don't know whether I'm just sort of out of the loop a little bit. I don't know. I just feel like there isn't as much footy talk. We've been on the radio just smashing cricket talk with the test match and that type of thing. So tell me if I'm wrong, but does it feel just a bit different, this build up to the pre-season and the AFL season? Personally, I like having some form of pre-season cup. Don't think they're ever going to go back there again anytime soon, but I like it nonetheless. It's 22 days away, and it just doesn't feel like I don't have that energy yet. I'm not like, gee, footy season. Like, I know it's close, but I'm not quite feeling it in my bones yet. But that's okay. Maybe we'll feel it soon. But let me know your thoughts out there. So let's take a look. Mid prices, between your 250, 450k, with the slight exception here and there. And I don't think there'll be too much. Look, Darcy Cameron just about falls in that category, but we talk about him plenty on this channel and on my TikTok, so I'm just going to scroll past that. And then I don't know if there's too many other options. Lloyd Meek to Cov's mates, talking at Dive Bar, pumping Meeky up. I like him as a prospect. I talked about him in the Hawthorn preview, but he's just at a shithouse price. Now he's at 430k, and I don't even know if he's going to be the number 1 ruck. He has to establish himself as an AFL footballer. I like him as a prospect, but you're just far better paying an extra 30k for Darcy Cameron. But he could be a sneaky little draft option. Now, Sam Draper, my old mate, 11% of teams, killed me the other year. Absolutely killed me. But I love him as a prospect. Now, the thing with Draper is he's still a bit rough around the edges. But I do think one day he'll be an absolute superstar. Will that be this year? It could have been any of the last 3 years, but what he has been capable of is some fantastic moments, but also some real stinker scores. Like, I'm talking sub 40. He still has to find that consistency at AFL level, and personally, I'm just a bit scared. At 400k, it's not like he's super cheap. I prefer to, again, pay an extra $65,000 just to get Cameron, who I'd feel a fair bit safer with. But if you're saying, Shorty, who's the most likely between 200 and 400k to take his game to the next level? I would have to say Draper is your man there. So he's definitely in a few people's minds, but I don't think I'm going to go back there. I'm a bit shy over that one after he burnt me all those years ago. And then there you go. You move past the rucks pretty damn quickly. Now, the forward department is really where this video is going to really spike up, because we've got lots of options. Lots of options in a mid-price mayhem sort of, or madness even. Where are we? Shorty's just a little sleep-deprived perhaps, but we know we're going to talk about Fyfe. We know we're going to talk about Cunnington, and I think that is where mid-price options largely lie in the forward line. Toby Green, new skipper, but I don't think there's too much need to get too excited. Ben Cunnington now. I've talked about him a bit. I had a video, I think it must have been a TikTok one the other day, where I was talking about the best mid-price options, and I think I had him at number 2, only behind Hopper. And I really do think that he'll return to averaging mid to high 90s. North Melbourne, they need that senior body in that midfield, and he's going to be that guy. Yes, he's come back from some real serious stuff. We saw Doherty do it. Doesn't mean Cunnington's going to do it. Everybody is different. But Doherty showed that it could be done. Now, it's an amazing feat to just get back to footy at the top level for Cunnington. It's an amazing story, and one that we've already loved last year was amazing. it'd be even better if he could produce a top season, not just for North, but it'd be fantastic for us in Supercoach land. So I'm honestly surprised he's in 10% of teams. I'm surprised to see Fyfe in so many, but I'll talk about that in a second. To be honest, I would have almost, if you said, hey, who's more popular, Cunnington or Fyfe, I would have thought Cunnington. But all it'll take is one really good preseason game, and then boom, that ownership will go from 10% to 40%. I'm on him. I know he's not in my team right now, but I think he's a strong consideration and certainly a player that you should be thinking about pretty strongly for your side. Now, as we make our way further down the list, there's a lot in the forward line. Like, there's a lot of good premiums to take a look at and a few really interesting mid-prices, as I've already touched on. But I don't know if there's too much else aside from those main guys in the premium status. But there is this man, Jack Ziebell. Tell me I'm crazy. Just tell me. If you think I am, then just let me know below. But this bloke is going back to halfback, and when he's down there, he bloody well scores. I know it could be psycho behaviour, and he might not have the exact same role. But last year we saw him play forward largely. I've spoken about this before. You can see in the rebound 50s, first 3 rounds, he's in defence. Barely a rebound 50 for the rest of the year. Average is 64. But the year before, as we all know, because he was one of the juiciest selections of all time, look at those numbers, particularly the first half. Well, bloody hell, all of it. Unbelievable stuff. Now, he's going back to half-back. Is it going to be the exact same sort of role? Will it be more like Luke McDonald, Aaron Hall rebounding? I don't know. But there's again a chance, like Cunnington, that if we see him taking kick-ins and intercepting and being involved in those chains down back, then that ownership is going to go from 5% to 35-40% very, very quickly. I'm going to need to see it before I go and buy it, but you got to keep him on your watch list. So he's going to be very, very interesting to see where he lines up. And Jason Horne-Francis in 15% of teams. I'm surprised. He's 348. It's not exactly a bargain. It's not like he's going to walk into that centre bounce. I heard Ken Hinkley say the other day that he will start centre bounce. Was that just coach talk in a radio interview? I don't know. But when you look through it, you've got Boak. Does his role change a little bit? You got Wines, you got Rosie, you got Butters, you got Drew. I'm sure I've left someone out. So there's already 4 or 5 that I think are either ahead of him or certainly on par. Now, I'd be surprised if Horne-Francis goes and averages like 95. And maybe at 348, maybe he only has to come out and average 90 for you. I don't know. Tell me what your expectations. If you're a Jason Horne-Francis owner, what are you expecting? What are you hoping for? Because I've got my percentages all wrong. I thought Cunnington would be popular. I really thought Horne-Francis might be in 6 or 7% of sides. 15% is a lot, in my opinion. He's going to improve. He's a damn fine footballer. But he's early in his career and a new club. There's a lot for him to establish. At 348, you really need him averaging some real good numbers for the first time in his career, clearly. I don't know. It's not for me. But if you're a Horne-Francis owner, let me know what's going on there. What do you reckon? And I reckon we'll just about swing to Fyfe as our final one here. So there's Fyfe at 313. I just want to see if there's anyone else to really talk about it. I don't think there is, to be fair. Yeah, Windhager's in a few. And yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and scream you should have him. Sam Flanders. Now, why is this bloke in 7% of teams? I must have missed something. There must be something going on at Gold Coast training that I have missed. But Windhager, yeah, quality player, up-and-coming youngster. He's probably not for me unless he really tears a preseason game apart. But he's got money to make at that price. Should be a regular in the midfield. Again, probably all depends on how Ross Lyon really sees it. But he's got plenty of promise. Watch this space at a good price. But yeah, in terms of Fyfe, 38% of teams. He's at a ripping price, don't get me wrong. But we've already heard a chorus of noise saying he is going to play a fair bit forward. Not to mention the body. is a massive concern. He will still play plenty of midfield time, but it is a bit of transition into Brayshaw and Sarong's midfield in amongst some other youngsters that they've got coming through. So it all comes down to that split, doesn't it? I think when you're looking at Cunnington versus Fyfe, I think every one of us will have one of them. Just depends which one. Now, through pre-season, we'll be watching where Fyfe lines up, how many centre bounces can he get, how fit is he looking. He'll look $1 million. He always does. Those biceps are always bulging. But will he be able to play out a full year? You know, I said the same thing about Elliott. It probably doesn't matter at that price. So maybe we can toss that away if he can just get the first 6 to 8 games under his belt. It all comes down to the scoring. Fyfe finds a way to score, but we don't want him chilling in the forward line all too often. So it'll really just come down to that talk out of the coaching staff and what we actually see. I'd love to pick him. I really would. He's one of my all-time favourites. I'm just a little bit hesitant. So need to see that role. We'll all know probably in a week or two we'll have a much better idea about it, and I'll look forward to having a bit more of a definitive idea then. And a lot of these guys, that's what it comes down to. Ziebell, where's he playing? Fyfe, what's the split? You know, it all comes down to that. But if you reckon I've missed anyone, let me know. But I'd really love to hear your thoughts on a few of those guys and how many of them you have in your team. Because at the moment, I don't have many. But there's plenty of time to shuffle things around. So I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.